Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. I hope you guys have had an amazing week and a day since I last podcasted. I was being so silly and I decided to wait and podcast a day later because I was within like a few rows, probably like 10, of finishing or having a finished object, and I really wanted to have a finished object, and so I was just like, it's just a day, let's just wait. So I made my tea. It's nighttime, so if you hear any ambient noises, it's bath time, and the sun's coming in, it's kind of blocked it. And yeah, so I'm gonna do a quick little podcast here so that I can go up and do bedtime with my kids. But the finished object that I was waiting for were these socks, and they're for my son, and it's just a basic toe-up pattern with a 15 rib, 2x2 rib cuff and 15 row cuff. And this is some of my yarn that I dyed up. It's my second time to knit with my yarn, and this is so soft. It's called the On My Own colorway, which is a Les Mis. I based it off of when I was watching a movie. She had a corset kind of style shirt that had orange and this blue, like an orangey gold and this blue, so I did that off of that. And that is my FO for the week. And then let's see what to show you next. Let's do my Fat Squirrel fiber bag, this giant bag with different creatures on it, which I love. So I didn't put a marker in this, but I can just point it out. I need to put little progress keepers on this, on my projects. But this is such a silly thing. I am knitting my Paloma sweater, and I'm knitting it out of some wool in their Legacy Bulky, and this is called the Rain Cloud, I believe. I'll have to get another skein of it to keep in my bag so I can show you. But the funny thing is that I was here last time, you can kind of see, and then I got up to here early on in the week, like on Monday, and then I had to do a provisional cast on for the pockets that calls from the pattern, and I just like didn't go and get waste yarn to do the provisional pocket for so long because that's how lazy I am, and this just sat there. And then finally today I was saying to myself, just do it, just go. And I know how to do a provisional cast on. It's not hard, it's just I have to go get the right crochet hook, I have to go get the waste yarn, and I was being silly. Lots of silliness this week. So yeah, that has now been done, and it's just on the easy upward part. So I've gotten, I don't know, like 8 inches done on it this week, and this is the front right panel. And this pattern, I believe, is by Baby Cocktails, Thea Coleman. So yep. And I've already had the back of that done, and it's on such large needles that it's fun because you can use up a skein of the yarn really quickly, and you can make progress pretty fast without putting in a whole bunch of work on it. And then the next thing is I have reached a new color. So I posted this on Instagram, and some of my local friends were saying, oh, you got past the white, and yes I did. And this is in a Diana Couture Serena bag, which I love her bags for multiple colored shawls. And this is being knit out of some skein yarn in one of her, I got it last year, a kit that had 3 colors. It had Highlands, and that's the green, and then Cremia, which is the white, and then Perfect Day, which is this blue. And I have been stuck on the white section. This is the Ashburn Shawl by Melanie Berg. I have been stuck on the white slip stitch part for so long. And as you can see, I finished it. I was trying at first, like I said last time, to get it all like perfect, and it just wasn't going. But now I'm just knitting, and it's doing great, and I'm almost done because of the way this pattern works. The sections get to where you don't go as long because the rows are so wide. So that will be done soon, and it's now just garter stitch, which is totally where my mind has been right now with trying to focus on, okay, this is the list that my 5th grader needs for school. This is the list of my kindergarten needs. It was back to school, tax-free shopping last weekend, and I only did a tiny bit of shopping before I quickly realized this is going to be a mistake for crowd-hating Jeanette to be out anymore, and I need to leave, because when I get anxious out being in crowds, I either get like kind of, I don't want to say snappy, but just like, let's get done fast. I get kind of really nervous and upset and I feel like I'm crowded in, like that everybody's too close, which is true. When you have a tiny little space and everybody's bumping into you and you can't move, it is too close. So yeah, that is on to the blue part, and I'm loving it, and I'm so glad that this will be done soon, because now that it's in the garter stitch, it's flying by. I've already completed one of the, because there are still 3 more slip stitch sections and then it's done, but I've completed one of the 3, so I just have 2 more, and hopefully this will be done next week, because I've been knitting on this while listening to The Lake House by Kate Morton. I have found a way to merge my current obsession with books with still needing to knit some, because I have a knitting podcast. It's so funny, like, you know how this happens to everybody, and I've had this podcast for so long, but that you go through different phases in your life where you love other things more. You know, like some people get really into sewing and they had a knitting podcast, but now it's like a sewing and occasionally knitting podcast, or embroidery, or makeup, or books, or whatever it may be in their life. But yeah, I've been really into the books this summer, and I've been loving it, and it's so great to have a Twitter account. I don't even ever really mention that, but it's just BookishStitcher. And I've discovered the joy of Twitter readathons and reading sprints, where you have on Twitter where they read for like, go grab some snacks and read for an hour, go, and everybody's reading, and you're like, then they ask you questions about if you could bring a character to life from your book, who would you pick, and all this just really fun things. And I realize that I am probably 80% of the people who are doing these are probably college age or like early 20s, and then about the other 20% are people in our early 30s, mid 30s, and so I'm in the like age minority, but I'm okay with that because I'm just having so much fun, and it's really nice because there's no pressure on me. I'm just participating. I'm not running it. I'm not having to like ask people questions, or that's my kitty cat if you can hear him. I'm not having to ask people questions or do anything that is moderatorish. I'm just having fun with it, and I am absolutely loving that. So I've been doing lots of things on there with readathons, even after I finished the family readathon already. So that is the Ashburn sweater that is being knit to the Lake House audiobook. So I've got a good stack of audiobooks, or a good stash of audiobooks waiting for me, so I can do the knitting and the reading and satisfy both loves. Because I still love knitting. It's not that I've fallen out of love with knitting. It's not my current like obsession. And I think by allowing myself to veer off into the current reading obsession, it has brought me back after a couple months. I'd say there were 2 months during the summer where I really was like, knitting. Like I still liked it, but it was a lower priority. And so now kind of allowing myself to go into the reading obsession has brought back my love of knitting. And I think getting past the white part on this really helped. It's amazing how when you have a project that is just really not fun and you're kind of slogging through it, that it can slow your whole mojo down. But then this is in a Girl Cave bag. It's a take on Red Riding Hood, a Russian Red Riding Hood. And I have been practicing my languages more, which has been so much fun. People look at me like I'm crazy because my daughter and I will be out at the grocery store or her swim lessons, and she'll have books. They have a little book section there, and I will read to her. I will translate it from the English to Japanese, and I'll ask her questions like, Nani iro desu ka, which is, what color is this? And she will answer me, or I'll ask her like, doko wa aka desu ka, like where is the color red? And she'll pick it out, and we'll answer things in the book, and she just really enjoys that. Hopefully I didn't butcher any of that Japanese, because I I can understand my languages pretty well, but I get nervous speaking them out loud. So anyways, in this Red Riding Hood bag is the, oh my gosh, Quay. It's the Quay scarf by Brooklyn Tweed, and I'm knitting some of his patterns this month. I might cast on a hat this next week, we'll see. I don't want to overwhelm myself. And I had just done some of the ribbing last week, so I finished off the ribbing and I've started on the cables. And another thing of me being silly, I had to go get a cable needle for this and go find one. So it took me a while to get going on the cables. It kind of just languished while I worked on socks and the shawl. But this is done out of some Malabrigo in the composition notebook colorway. And it's going to be a Christmas gift for my sister-in-law's boyfriend. And if any of you live in Brooklyn right now, there's something that's really exciting. I was texting with my sister-in-law earlier. She lives in Brooklyn, and there's the Brooklyn Book Festival coming up in September 10th or 17th or something, but I would love to go to that one year. If any of you also love books and live near Brooklyn, New York, or would be willing to travel to Brooklyn, New York for a book festival with me, let's plan it. I can't go this year, but maybe next year. I would love a buddy to go to bookish things with if any of you are down for that, because I know there are a lot of people that watch the podcast but don't necessarily read as much as I do, and then there are a lot that do read as much as I do and watch the podcast. So thought I'd throw that out there if there's anybody. And I have some friends that are as bookish as I am, but they're teachers, and that's school's started, they're in the thrall of things. And honestly, with where I am right now, I'm probably going to go back and get my master's and kind of work I don't know, I'm thinking about volunteering in a library, or maybe working at minimum wage part-time in a library while I go and maybe do online, or maybe at an actual location do my master's in library science, so I can see if I actually enjoy working in a library. But I've also really been thinking about being a school librarian, because I love kids and I love books, and I have a really personality that tends to get along well with kids because I'm a little bit goofier. So I don't know, I'm excited about that, and I think that, you know, I already love middle grade literature and YA, so it'd be fun to kind of immerse myself in that world a lot. And then I'd have excuses to go to all these bookish things because it would be for a job. So I just have to look into a lot of the programs. It's too late for me to start this fall, so I'd have to start next spring. So maybe this fall I will just, you know, try to get minimum wage job at the library, or if I can't find something there, then just volunteer at a library and work wherever I can get. I'll be a pizza delivery girl. Would you like some Papa John's while I volunteer at a library and get my master's? Whatever works. Or I just dye up a whole bunch of yarn once the kids go to school and hope that it does well. But I do probably plan to get back to dyeing yarn, maybe. I say that, but I'm not really feeling strongly towards that way. And if anybody is interested in like the Fall Skies colorway, I thought about dyeing up some because it is, you know, going into fall season. But I really, really don't want to dye stuff and have it like sit in the shop for forever, because then I get very anxious that, oh, now I have a ton more yarn than I, thought. So I want to kind of have it on a custom basis, like a pre-order or something. I might put that up there. But there is a ton of yarn up in the Etsy shop, Open Skies yarn, and some of it's probably, I think the listings have expired and I'm not going to pay money to keep relisting them. I might just try to do another like trunk show somewhere or something with the remaining yarn, or I'll just now have doubled my stash. And the tea I'm having is some Canada tea from Davis Tea. It's called like Oh Canada. Yeah, that's all the knitting. And then no spinning. That stuff from Tour de Fleece is still sitting on my wheel. And then for group news, I drew for the, SSK giveaway, and the winner was post number 27, who is Debbie Amy, so congrats. And then I need to close a couple other threads, like the cardiac ride along, and then, which I completely had forgotten about, and the Whip It summer prize thing, which I completely forgotten about. So I'm so sorry for people that entered that and I haven't posted on that. So I will close that and send you a themed prize, like ask you what are some of your favorite colors, and I'll send you some special stuff in your favorite colors. But yeah, just contact me, Debbie Amy, when you've seen this, and I will mail the SSK prize out to you. And then I thought it might be fun, my cat's over there, to have a sock blank September. So would you be up for that, knitting sock blank in September? And I have one that I've been wanting to knit for a while, but it's fall leave theme, so that would be perfect. So sock blank September, maybe that will be, and that gives you like 2 weeks, I think, about maybe even more, yeah. You're gonna be serenaded by Anton. He's a Russian blue, and so he has a Russian name, Anton. He's actually named after a character in a book. One of my friends had gotten teal in her hair, and I was saying how cool she was, and she was like, you could pull it off, you just have to act like you're hip. And I was like, I spend my days, you know, reading books, and I was like giving her a little rundown of how not like hip my life is. Come here, Anton. And so she was laughing, but anyways, so yeah, sock blank September. I know, but you have food. You do. And yeah, just let me know if you'd be down for that. And then I think the only thing that's left is the book, which I gotta hurry because it is bedtime in 1 minute. And I absolutely love this book, so I wanna talk about it for a good little bit. So I did not plan this. I read this earlier in the week, and then the events in North Carolina happened. And so this isn't like, which were horrible, and I feel really, if anybody was affected by that, I'm so sorry. My friend Abby that I went to SSK with lives in North Carolina, so definitely thought of her. I know she wouldn't have been at the rally in any capacity, but yeah, so this book I read before that, and it's just kind of, it's so sad. There's so much hate in the world, but there is also so much love too. You gotta focus on the positive. So the book that I read was The Book Thief, and this has been on my to be read list. I don't know if you can probably see my cat. He's clawing me. This book has been on my to be read list for multiple years, probably since it came out, and I heard such wonderful things, but I took a break from reading World War II novels because it was just getting too much for me. And so I picked this up because I've been going on my Goodreads and reading my oldest books that I've had on my to be read list for the longest. And this book is about World War II Germany, and it is written from a very interesting perspective, the perspective of death. And he kind of, it's done in a style which a couple of my friends who watch this and who are on Goodreads did not like this book at all. And then a lot of you guys have already read it, and then a lot of you have it on your to be read list, because I always look at what my friends have done on Goodreads before I read a book. But I can definitely see how this writing style would be one that would not be for a lot of people. I actually love it. If a book is written in this style, I prefer it because it's kind of choppy. The chapters are shorter. It's done with little excerpts from death, and then it goes into little bits of the story. And so for me personally, as somebody who has kids, I can only claim one of them to be little anymore. Are you gonna go explore the knitting bags? He's gonna go shake the whole table. Anyways, so I can only claim one of them to be little anymore because she's 5, but you know, she won't even have that for long because they're getting so big. But with little kids, I need to have a book that I can get through the chapters quickly. For me, it doesn't matter if the book is 1,000 pages. If the chapters are shorter, then I'm okay. If the book is even like 200 pages but has 40-page chapters, that is a killer for me. I'm not gonna, I started to read a book once, like On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I've tried to read that book so many times, and I love it, but I cannot get over the fact that there are no chapters. It drives me insane. I just feel like there's never a breaking point where I can stop and take a break, and I need those. And so Death comes across this girl, and her name is Laisel, and I'm going to try to pronounce her last name, although this book had a lot of German in it, and I loved getting to practice my German while I was reading this. I now know way too many German cuss words from this time period, which probably aren't even applicable anymore. But it's about this girl who, she goes on a train to go live with some foster parents, and it's supposed to be originally her and her brother, but her brother dies on the train right on the way there, and that's where death kind of meets her. And she goes to live with this family, these two older people, husband and wife. The husband has now become one of my favorite characters in literature. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. And the wife is a very, very well described character too. No tea for you. And so she goes to live with them, and she quickly comes to love her papa and mama, even though her mama is the one who I've learned all the cuss words from, because her mother has a mouth on her foster mother. And then her foster father plays the accordion for her and wakes up with her and stays with her at night when she wakes up with terrors because she's the one that found her brother dead on the train. She woke up, she was sleeping, and she woke up and he was dead. And so she has nightmares of that. But her first book that she ever stole, she kind of found it. I don't know if I would call it stealing if you find it and you pick it up on a road, but was a book called How to Be a Professional Gravedigger or something, but she found it at her brother's funeral. This is what I call the book thief. So she has that book, and she brings it to her foster parents, and her papa teaches her to read very slowly. He's a painter and an accordion player, and he teaches her to read. And so she kind of goes along in that vein for a very long time, kind of telling her life, and her friend Rudy, who's always trying to get a kiss from her, and her mother does laundry to make extra money from different people. So she meets the mayor's wife, who has this beautiful library of books that she eventually gets to see. And then I don't want to give away too much, but they do come to have a Jewish person that comes to hide out in their house, and that kind of changes her life too. And there's, I don't want to go too much into like why he's there, why somebody owes him, why the papa owes a favor, and just different stuff. But they're just beautifully drawn characters. Like I said, Hans, who is her papa, is going to be one of my top favorite characters in literature. I kind of, not in the same personality-wise, but kind of in the just a basic, good, amazing person. Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird, right? I think that's right. Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, I'm pretty sure. I keep thinking Go Set a Watchman, but that's the other one that I haven't read. But so one of my favorite characters, it's written, there's this part where Death does these little excerpts, and he talks about like when boys go off to war, they think they're, in this part, like there were so many, but anyways, he talks about when boys go off to war and they're fighting each other, the boys think that they're running after other boys, but they're really running to him. So they're really, when they're running with their guns at other men, they're really running towards death. And there were so many lines in this that were amazing, that were so thought-provoking and so well written. And I kept going around the house and talking to people and being like, listen to this line in this book. So this is going to be one of my top, it's not made into my top 3, but one of my top 10 probably favorite books, and even Anton loves it. So, but the Hans, it definitely shows how there were good people even in the midst of bad times, even in, Nazi-occupied Germany, which you can imagine that, not everyone would be okay with what was going on. Oh, and I did have marked, but now I took the place out. There's this one picture I wanted to show you, and then I'm going to end, because there are a couple pictures in here, and I'm not going to be able to find it now, but yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it now. I had the paper with the winner on it as marking the place, and I took it out. But there's this picture, and it's just crudely drawn. It has this boy and girl who are from the Nazi youth waving their hands and saying, what a beautiful day, and they have their swastikas, and then under them is just a mountain of dead bodies, and it's just the most tragically sad picture. And it just depicts, like, how can you do that? how could you dehumanize someone so much? It's horrible to think of. And the ending of this book, I was sobbing, so it is a tearjerker towards the end. And even though it tells you it's coming, it's, oh my gosh, it's like 10 minutes past when I want to be. But even though it tells you it's coming, it still hits you. This book, as I said, it gutted me. And so, yeah, if you haven't read it and you don't mind a little bit of kind of experimental writing, because, I mean, this is part of, there's stuff in it, just like that. It is not a standard book, so if that bothers you, don't read this, or if that would make you upset, don't read this. But I love this. I don't even know if I'm going to see the movie. I haven't seen the movie, but yeah. This is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. And that's all I have for this week. And yeah, I'm going to go and listen to more of my audiobook, do some more reading sprints, and knit. Okay, bye guys, and until next week, I hope you have a wonderful week and you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye.